All right, so we are moving and grooving right along through Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We are on chapter 20, The Great Gum Machine. Mr. Wonka led the party to a gigantic machine that stood in the very center of the inventing room. It was a mountain of gleaming metal that towered high above the children and their parents. Out of the very top of it, there sprouted hundreds and hundreds of thin glass tubes, and the glass tubes all circled downward and came together in a bunch and hung suspended over an enormous round tub as big as a bath. "Here we go," cried Mr. Wonka, and he pressed three different buttons on the side of the machine. A second later, a mighty rumbling sound came from inside it, and the whole machine made a shake so frightening the steam began hissing out it all over, and then suddenly the watchers noticed that running stuff was pouring down the insides of all hundred of the little glass tubes and squirting out into the great tub below. And in every single tube, the running stuff was of a different color, so that all the colors of the rainbow and many others as well came sloshing and splashing into the tub. It was a lovely sight, and when the tub was nearly full, Mr. Wonka pressed another button, and immediately the running stuff stopped running out of the tubes. The rumbling sound disappeared, and a whizzing, whirling noise that took its place. And then a giant whizzer started whizzing round inside the enormous tub, mixing up all the different colored liquids like an ice cream soda. Gradually, the mixture began to froth. It became frothier and frothier, and it turned from blue to white to green to brown to yellow, and then back to blue again. "Watch," said Mr. Wonka. Click. When the machine and the whizzers stopped whizzing, and now there came a sort of sucking noise, and very quickly all the blue frothy mixture in the huge basin was sucked into the stomach of the machine. There was a moment of silence. Then a few queer rumblings were heard. Then silence again. Then suddenly the machine let out a monstrous, mighty groan, and at the same moment a tiny drawer, no bigger than the drawer in a slot machine, popped out of the side of the machine, and let me slide you up there. And in the drawer lay something so small, so thin and gray that everyone thought it must be a mistake. The thing looked like a little strip of gray cardboard. The children and their parents stared at the little gray strip lying in the drawer. "You mean that's all?" said Mike Teavee, disgusted. "That's all," answered Mr. Wonka, gazing proudly at the result. "Do you know what it is?" There was a pause. Then suddenly Violet Burgay, the goofy gum chewer girl, let out a yell of excitement. "By God, it's gum!" she shrieked. "It's a stick of chewing gum." "You are right," cried Mr. Wonka, slapping Violet hard on the back. "It is a stick of gum. It's a stick of the most amazing and fabulous and sensational gum in the world." All right, so question number 1 says, what motivates Violet to shriek when she realizes the machine is making gum? So right here on the section that we are on, is where we're going to focus on. So everyone has been watching this machine make colors and noises and sounds. And here it is. There was a pause because one of the kids, like Mike TV, he said, "That's it. That's all it's going to do. It made all this noise. It's huge, and just this little piece of cardboard-looking thing is what's coming out." There was a pause. Then suddenly, Violet Brigade, the goofy gum chewer girl, let out a yell of excitement. So here is her yell of excitement, her shriek. "By gum, it's gum," she shrieked. "It's a stick of chewing gum." Well, what do I know already about Violet? I know that she is, in fact, a gum chewer. I know that she chews gum all day long, all of the time. So for her, there is a bit of excitement because, well, what does she do? She chews gum. So I'm going to write here, chews gum a lot. Okay, so now let's look at our answer choices. A, Violet is afraid of the sound. So yes, there was a lot of sounds going on, but she's not afraid of the sounds that she's hearing. Remember, she's yelling out by Gaius gum. It's a stick of chewing gum, and we know she really likes to chew gum. B, it says Violet was very excited. So this shriek is not of fear. It seems more like of excitement because she chews gum a lot. And here it is that Mr. Wonka has created a new gum. C, Violet is looking at the Oompa Loompas. So there are no Oompa Loompas in this particular section, so that's not going to be our best choice. D, Violet was needing some new gum. She might have needed gum, but it doesn't tell me that in the text. It doesn't tell me that her gum was old. So I can't assume that she needed new gum. My best answer choice is that she was very excited about seeing the gum that was there. So looking at our next answer choice, our next question, it says, why does Mike TV say you mean that's all? So right here in the text, it says that's all. Mike TV said, and he was kind of disgusted in saying it. So remember what happened prior to. All of these things were going on with the machine. It was making all of this noise and whirling around. And then it talked about just how big the machine was and just how noisy it was. And then at the bottom of 92, it says, then suddenly the machine let out a monstrous, mighty groan. And at the same moment, a tiny drawer, no bigger than the drawer of a tiny slot machine. Think about when you put a quarter into the gum machine and you twist the button to get the gum out. So here goes a drawer that comes out small like the silver bottom where your candy drops to pop out, and it pops out of the machine. In the drawer there lay something. It was small and thin and gray, and everybody thought that it must have been a mistake. There must be something wrong with this big machine that Mr. Wonka had. They think that it has this little gray strip of cardboard to come out. The children and their parents, they stare at this tiny gray strip laying in the drawer. And then Mike TV is the first one to say something. He says, you mean that's it? This huge machine making all this noise and that's all that comes from it? Our first answer choice is that he wanted chocolate and not gum. Well, it may have very well be that he wanted chocolate instead of gum, but it doesn't say that. It doesn't say, I want chocolate. You know, he doesn't even know that it's gum until after he's made that statement. B, he was not impressed. Well, that's a pretty good option right there because he thought that something else was going to happen because of this big machine, big noise. And it seems like he was a bit disappointed in what he actually got. So we'll come back to that. C, he was proud of Mr. Wonka. He definitely was not proud of Mr. Wonka because it says here that he had that face of disgust when he made that statement. And then D, it says he didn't see anything pop out. So it says here that the children and their parents stare at it. So they all seen it. Our best answer choice is that he wasn't impressed. He thought something else was going to happen instead of seeing this small drawer and a small piece of gum come out.